everyone. Welcome to the Holistic Birth Podcast, where we put the power in families' hands to have the safe, satisfying journey they deserve. My name is Allison.
And I'm Bridget. We are two doulas who love bringing information along with inspiration to help you feel confident and powerful in your choices throughout the birthing year.
We cover all topics around pregnancy, birth, and beyond. We're so glad you're here.
Let's dive into this week's episode.
Welcome back to the Holistic Birth Podcast. Today we have Kristen with us. Woohoo!
Hello.
She's our first guest speaker. She is a nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist out of Bradford, New Hampshire. She also sees people virtually. And she's going to chat with us today on our 10th episode about postpartum nutrition.
Yeah.
Very excited.
We're super excited to have you here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important topic that can sometimes be overlooked because in that postpartum season, you're just in like the total frenzy survival mode. And if you fuel your body properly, it can really make a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, we're super excited to have you here. I'd love to know how you became a nutritionist, like what led you down that path. And just tell us more about that. Yeah.
Thank you. So this was never part of my life's plan. I was a singer-songwriter. I'm from Cape Cod, born and raised there. And I was going back and forth between the Cape and Nashville. And I ate like frozen dinners and Oreos and goldfish. Like never thought
Been there,
anything about like eating and the priority there. And then I got really sick. So I ended up with an autoimmune disease in my spinal cord. Half the team thought it was Lyme disease, half said it was autoimmunity, and was just put on steroids, antibiotics. And from that point, I was in a wheelchair for about 8 months.
Oh my gosh.
And was told at like 16, 17, like, we don't know what's wrong. We've checked for all the big, crazy heavy hitters, kind of good luck. And along that path, someone along the way said, why don't you check out functional nutrition or holistic nutrition? And at that point, if you told me to eat tree bark, like I would have done it. So I'm like, okay, well, give it a shot. We can really only go up from here. And that addition into my life really made a huge impact and a really big change. I ended up also being diagnosed with endometriosis, and they said fertility would be very difficult. There was probably no chance of being able to have children. And I started working with this practitioner, and then when I shifted careers, I got to do my whole preceptorship with them, so it kind of came full circle, which was nice. And then I opened Nourish in 2012, so it's our 11th year in practice.
Awesome.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now we see, like Allison was saying, like men, women, and children. Our youngest client is 3 months, and our oldest client is 89.
Wow, nice.
In person and across the world.
Across the globe.
So it's been an incredible process and one that I'm really grateful for, and it's shifted my health and the health of my family. And I now have 2 children, and may I say that these 2 lovely women were my doulas for the birth of my daughter Charlotte. So this is such an honor and a gift to be here with you today.
Yeah. Well, it was an honor being with you in that time
you.
too. So
Thank you.
of course. Yeah, that's I feel like a lot of folks get on this like path because they've gone through some sort of like healing or health crisis sort of thing. So yeah.
Totally. And the seed was planted younger. I have a brother with severe autism. He's nonverbal, and 33 years ago, autism was pretty rare. And there was no Google for my parents to search, diet support. But someone along the way at Boston Children's said, why don't you look at gluten and casein? And my mom was like, if Matt's going gluten-free, we all are. And it was like eating cardboard. Like, it was horrible. But that's when I started to see the connection, but was still like standard American diet. And then when I got sick was when everything kind of came together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
that.
thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah.
We were honored to be with you.
Yeah.
During Charlotte's birth, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
So-
and go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm so glad that you've found a path to healing and better balancing and figuring out what the heck you needed.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too that we keep that balance that you're talking about, Allison. Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, we don't have to go live in a yurt in the Swiss Alps to like, have this holistic minded view. We really strive with clients and myself personally in the 80-20 rule of balance. We still want you to enjoy birthday cake on your birthday and a hot dog at a barbecue, but finding the equilibrium can be where like the magic happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
So you live on a farm, right? You have your own farm,
Yes,
chickens and stuff?
yes,
Cool.
Yeah, we have chickens and ducks and bees, and we had a bunny. She's on vacation, we think. Yeah. And my husband says he won't do anything he has to milk. So,
Yeah,
but
that's a lot
I'm
of
pushing
work.
for like
Yeah.
a goat or a cow. We'll see.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have chickens and goats and bees. Well, I did have bees. They didn't make it,
It
this
was
winter.
a rough
It was
winter.
rough, yeah.
Yes,
But
totally.
yeah, so I can totally relate with that. And I feel like a lot of people that are on like the health journey end up having like their own source of
totally.
food and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Super
So
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we are thrilled to have you.
Thank
And
you.
there's so many layers to postpartum, and nutrition is clearly something that could not only help with overall healing, but just like the recovery, lactation support, your mental health. Could you share with us, Kristen, what is the important link between postpartum nutrition and mental health?
Yes, absolutely. So about 80% of our happy hormones live within our gut. And the gut is known as the second brain. And I sometimes joke in our practice that it's really like the first, because as children, we really honor those like butterfly feelings you have or that intuition. And then that kind of can stretch or change as we age. But your gut really knows what's going on. And when we fuel that system properly, we see a nice balance in those hormones, things like estrogen, testosterone, but also melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, cholesterol is a hormone. So the big importance there is to make sure with postpartum health that we're replenishing. Those babies, though incredible, do suck the life out of us. And they're stealing your stores. So prenatal nutrition is so important, and I feel like we're starting to discuss that more and more. But postpartum, it's like we have to rebuild from the last 10 months. And then if mom does decide to breastfeed, we have to continue those stores as well. And even if mom doesn't go on that journey, it's still important to make sure that everything is back in alignment with nutrition, because we want to set their hormones up for balance. As women, we go through 3 large hormonal events, or we have the ability to: period, pregnancy, and perimenopause, going into menopause. The way the body is set up prior to entering those events is a really good insight into how that next event will go. So if we can help repair postpartum, we're also setting the body up to have a much easier perimenopause and menopausal journey.
That makes sense.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. The other big thing that I think is important is we see a lot of postpartum hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, autoimmunity coming on. And autoimmunity tends to be silently brewing, if you will, in the system for about 7 years prior to a diagnosis. And it can take a really large hormonal event to turn that on. So an event like a pregnancy can then kind of speed up that process, and we start to see this hormonal cascade. So we see a big link with postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety when there is postpartum hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's as well. So that's another important factor with nutrition, how we can balance the thyroid gland and hormone. And then also we want to support the pituitary gland. So that's a gland in the brain, and that gland does shift when there's trauma. And the birth process, as beautiful as it is a shock to the system. So it is very common for that gland to almost like fold in on itself, if you will. Think of the pituitary as like the consistency of a poached egg and about the size of a walnut, and it's your inventory tracker for your hormones. So you wake up during the day and your pituitary says, hey, ovaries, make more estrogen, or we're good. If there's a bruising there, that communication pathway can be off. So when we use really specific nutrient-dense foods postpartum, we can start to reshape that gland so that the signals are working properly.
Wow.
Oh,
I know, my head's exploding. I'm like,
sorry.
No, it's great. It's awesome information. Yeah.
And then also, the things like milk production and overall well-being and fuel and not feeling super depleted. But those are some of the really big important pieces.
Yeah, I feel like, breastfeeding part is like a whole nother separate thing we could definitely go into at some point.
So we'll have her back.
Definitely.
If you'd like to come back.
I'd be honored if you would have me. Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess my question would be, like, I know it's, like, individualized for each person, but, like, what would be kind of, like, the basics on balancing hormones, like nutritionally?
Yes.
What would you say for that?
So the big things we want to keep in mind is your hormones are sort of set up like a pyramid, and this is very common in traditional Chinese medicine. So the base is that pituitary gland, which we talked about. Then we look at your adrenals, and those sit on top of your kidneys, and they secrete cortisol and adrenaline anytime our bodies are perceiving stress. And then we move to the thyroid, and then ovaries and uterus, reproductive hormones. So we may be seeing symptoms of, let's say, breast tenderness, or a woman getting her period back like very quickly, or taking years to get back after postpartum. But we actually want to heal and repair those deeper layers, and we can use targeted nutrients, macro and micronutrients, to do that. So the first thing I always look at is minerals. The more minerals, the better. And we can get a ton of great minerals from salt, believe it or not. So pink Himalayan salt has about 72 trace minerals. And when we salt our foods, that absorption is only going to stay within the gut. But when we apply those minerals into our water, it'll hit every cell within the body. So adding just a sprinkle, like an 1/8 or a 1/16 of a teaspoon into your water, like, it should not be as if you're drinking the ocean. You should barely taste this.
Yeah.
But that is a great postpartum nutrition support. And I think the sort of functional medicine and holistic nutrition field, which is the umbrella that I fall under, has become so all into supplements, and they're incredible, but they truly are designed to supplement what's lacking in the diet. So if we can have this strong dietary foundation for fuel, then you may not need to be on like a laundry list of things. So I'd always say starting with the salt in your water. I like pink Himalayan salt. I find that to be the most diverse in minerals. And then also looking at selenium, that's found very much in Brazil nuts. And if mom ate like 2 or 3 Brazil nuts a day, that's a great addition. Also, now that, baby's out and we can have sushi, the seaweed has a ton of iodine, which also really helps strengthen the thyroid's ability to communicate properly. If you don't want to go around eating seaweed salad, there are things called dulse flakes, and you can sprinkle that on like avocado toast, on salads, and really keeping optimal healthy fats. Fats can be very much feared in our society.
Yeah.
But when we use proper fats, omega-3s and 6s, we can actually balance inflammation and keep hormones nice and in check. So examples here are going to be things like chia seeds, coconut oil. If you're open to doing like sardines or like any small fish, that can be a great option to add in. Nut and seed butters, pumpkin seeds, poppy seeds. So like everything but the bagel seasoning on like anything you want would be great. And
great.
And flaxseed oil. Yeah, who doesn't love that? Yeah. Flaxseed oil. I love grass-fed butter. It's loaded with vitamin K2. And then I also really have seen great results clinically with using some brain octane or MCT oil for moms as well postpartum.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Speaking of all the specific foods and things, are there other foods that you recommend for the postpartum chapter, or obviously just in general?
Yes.
But yeah, anything specific, like favorites that you like to recommend?
Absolutely. So if mom is looking to breastfeed, oats are incredible. So oatmeal would be great. We are starting to see, especially, and I know we'll get into lactation at another point, but one thing to keep in mind are going to be kind of the heavy hitters like dairy, gluten, onions, garlic, chocolate, all the fun ones, right?
Yeah.
Corn, soy, peppers. So a couple new studies are coming out that show perhaps avoiding some of those things about like 3 weeks prior to delivery, just to let it all flush out. So there's no, issue with baby and things like colic or reflux, excess mucus. But I highly recommend, like I said, the fats, avocados. I would probably go more gluten-free. If there's any history of autoimmunity, gluten can contribute to leaky gut, and it can actually like break open the villi in the gut. So pulling that out, it will take about 12 to 14 days to get fully out of the system, and just see how you feel. It's going to keep your inflammation down, and postpartum moms are more inflamed. So that can be very beneficial. I love brown and black rice, quinoa, millet. For fruits and veggies, you're going to want to really lean into things like figs, dates, apricots, papayas for constipation support. So I know like that first bowel movement postpartum
The scary one, yeah.
is a buildup.
Yeah.
So papaya seeds are incredible for constipation. If you take a papaya, hull out the seeds, rinse them, and let them air dry till they're like totally dry. Start with 2 to 4 seeds a day. They're small and mighty, and you can work up to what you need, but those can be great for constipation support. Also looking at beets for the liver, carrots, sweet potatoes, squashes, and choline. Choline is an incredible support postpartum for neurological health for mom and baby, and you get a ton of choline in eggs. So eat the yolks. And some of my other ones are a little out there, but should we share
Bring them
them?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the
Let's
outside
hear
stuff.
Liver and liver pate is just an incredibly nourishing postpartum food. I know in our society it's not common to eat organ meats anymore, but those organ meats really help repair the hormonal glands that we spoke about earlier. So chicken liver, beef liver, there's the whole discussion of consuming the placenta. And Allison, I did do that with both of my births. Allison actually prepared the placenta after Charlotte, and then I used a different provider after Henry's birth. But that is something that I would recommend women keep an eye on. Sometimes the placenta can, when we consume it, can actually cause some postpartum depression. I don't know if you ladies have noticed that as well, but just keeping an eye on it, like you can cut the dose down. But there's a therapy that we use very commonly in holistic and functional nutrition called protomorphogen therapy. And it's the belief that like heals and repairs like. So back in the day, like you'd go see the medicine man, right? Or medicine woman. And let's say you had liver dysfunction, they would recommend you consume liver. And it's going to help repair. But like I said, nowadays we don't really do a lot of like liver and onions anymore. So if you are not open to the placenta consumption, you could also look at like a beef liver capsule. Some of my clients will also get a grass-fed beef liver, freeze it, and cut it into like small tiny bites and consume that postpartum. And then there are some great teas too that we can use nutritionally. So we could look at mother's milk by Traditional Medicinals. Nettle tea for depletion is awesome. And milky oats, that's another great addition. And really, we want to keep protein balanced. That's going to help with any stores of minerals that are being depleted from the bones postpartum. So if you have a great protein powder without any added junk, that's really nice. I like Mount Capra's Mineral Whey if you and baby can tolerate whey. But a good protein powder, in Ayurvedic medicine, you'd want to do a lot of warming foods. So not like a cold smoothie, but there's actually a ton of recipes for warm smoothies. I know that sounds different, but you could even do like an unflavored protein powder or collagen peptides mixed into soup, oats, mixing it into even like a pancake mix so we can get that protein up.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
great. Yeah. There's a recipe that I love to make for my clients. It's like a rice porridge.
Oh,
It's an Ayurvedic
so
recipe.
good.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's got all the warming spices and everything in it. You just make it, turn it into just like mush basically,
Oh,
but it's
so
delicious.
good. It
yeah.
is.
Yeah. It's really
It
good.
is.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Brewer's yeast is one too that I think we hear a lot about, and nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast, if you get the unfortified, actually provides your daily dose of vitamin B6, and B6 is like our chill, calm bee. Some of the other bees are super revving, which mom might be like, don't need that.
Yeah.
Or she may, but
Yeah, right.
that like chill bee is vitamin B6, and you would do about a tablespoon a day. You could mix it into soups, the rice porridge. You can heat it so it doesn't need to stay cool, and that's a great addition as well.
Yeah. I've done that in lactation cookies. I put it in there.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mixed it the other day into a mac and cheese. So I did like chickpea pasta and some raw cheddar, and I put it in, and my husband's like, he said, Chris, why is this so vibrant? Like, what did you sneak in here? I'm like, nothing. He's like, no, this is not the normal color, because it is very bright. And I'm like, okay, there's a little yeast and a little turmeric. And it's like, I knew it.
Found out.
So, yeah.
Sounds good though.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
So another question is, what would be the best way for someone to like prepare postpartum? As far as like what recipes would you recommend like someone do ahead of time, just so they don't have to think about it
Absolutely.
kind of afterwards? Yeah.
So I would definitely, like, while pregnant, utilize your freezer and stock that as much as you can. And this is a great delegation thing you could do as well.
Yes.
Like, you know, everyone, how can we help? How can we help? Can we come see the baby? Can we come? It's like, you could help by making me a batch of lactation cookies and like popping them in my freezer, dropping them off. So lactation bars or cookies would be great. Overnight oats that you could pre-make in some mason jars. If you leave about a half an inch or an inch off the top, they freeze really well. So you can do that, and you can mix your protein or collagen into that as well. Collagen peptides, by the way, ladies, are great because they're going to help heal and seal the gut lining, but they're also wonderful for ligament elasticity, helping with joints, muscles. You know, everything's learning to go back in its place, and collagen can be great for that. Freezing some egg cake bites. So
Yeah, that's a good
I don't know if you've seen them at like Starbucks, or I think Dunkin' does them too now, but they're like these egg cakes, and you can make those in muffin tins and freeze those. Also, some energy bites. Think like easy snacks you can eat with one hand.
Yes.
Because you're holding baby, you're doing 14,000 other things, so just like a quick bite. And then I really would recommend preparing finding a good electrolyte powder that you love. Electrolytes are going to keep milk supply up, but they're also great for depletion. And the salt is wonderful, but this is going to add a little flavor. I drank this, you ladies might remember, during labor. I kept having Dean like fill my water with this stuff called Godania.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's great. It has like a light lemon flavor, but some other good brands are Noon, Godania. Needed is an incredible prenatal and postpartum supplement company, and they have some hydration sticks that are wonderful. And I would just leave a water bottle in every room. Room temperature water is going to be great. Leave some of those electrolyte powders nearby and drink nonstop.
Yeah, lots of fluids.
Yes.
Super important.
For sure.
Yeah.
So tell us, you've shared some fantastic food options, ingredients, recipes. Where do we get these foods? Like good sources for food?
Absolutely. Because that can be so frustrating. You're like, where the heck do I find brewer's yeast?
Yeah.
So I really love the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, starting there for your produce, your fruits and veggies. It's released every year by the Environmental Working Group, and they test the amount of pesticides and chemicals sprayed on the most common fruits and veggies. So the Clean 15 are going to be the 15 veggies and fruits that you can purchase conventionally. So you don't need to worry about organic or local there. And this is also going to be great for keeping things affordable, especially with the cost of groceries these days. And then the Dirty Dozen are the 12 most heavily sprayed. So you would want to shoot for more organic or local for those. Now, there's some great websites as well. So Butcher Box is a wonderful option for clean pastured meats, grass-fed meats, locally sourced when available. And they also do a lot of wild caught fish. So Butchered Box. Thrive Market is wonderful. I love using this, and I'll gift this sometimes to friends of mine postpartum. Think like Costco meets Whole Foods. So it's a subscription, if you will, but you get great deals on all of these wonderful foods and bars, and you can filter out dietary restrictions, like if you are gluten-free or dairy-free. And they're awesome for bars. You can just have those on hand. Coconut oil, flours, brewer's yeast, all of that. The farmer's market can be tough. Like we may have in our mind, I'm going to like waltz through a farmer's market with my newborn, and it doesn't really happen. So Whole Foods pickup, groceries to go can be great. There's another website called realmilkfinder.com.
Yeah, it's a great website.
Which is an awesome one. If you do raw milk, which I know is controversial, we can maybe chat about that at another time. But they also provide local farms where you can pick up some of these foods, like the liver if you wanted to source that. So I'd really start there for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's great.
Good next steps. So we have probably so many more. We could just have you live with us.
I know. I wish we could have another 2 hours.
Yeah, we have 2 more hours.
Sure.
Yeah. But we will have Kristen back, so
Yeah,
definitely tune back in. How do people find you in the meantime? What are the ways to work with you? How could someone find you?
Yes. Okay. So we are found online at nhhnutrition.com. So my practice is Nourish Holistic Health and Nutrition. And that's also NHH Nutrition is our handle for Instagram and Facebook. And you can find us there. We offer, like I said, services in person and across the country. We have clients in Europe and Canada as well. A final note on some resources that can be very beneficial postpartum. Definitely staying on your prenatal. I recommend clinically that mom stays on her prenatal for about 6 to 12 months postpartum.
Whoa.
So really helping to replenish those stores. And then testing your thyroid. So trying to encourage your provider just to get this panel checked and get a complete panel. So that would be TSH, T4, T3, and then there are 2 thyroid antibodies that we like to look for, TGB and TPO. And that'll give us a really nice picture of what's going on hormonally. And that testing could be done around month 3 or 4 postpartum. And acupuncture can be an incredible adjunct postpartum. Also some recipes and cookbooks. And like I said, like buy the cookbook and give it to someone. Be like, make me some of these, please. So I love Healing Your Body Naturally After Childbirth. Eat to Feed, which is by Eliza Larson and Christy Kohler. That's an incredible book. Like I have it highlighted. I'm always working on that. And Lily Nichols, she has a few excellent books for pregnancy, and she offers on her website like 50 plus freezer meals for postpartum. So crock pot is great. Make those ahead and freeze them. And then Cassie Joy Garcia, she is a colleague of mine, and her company is Fed and Fit, and she has 2 awesome cookbooks. One's called Cook Once, Eat All Week, and one is called Cook Once, Dinner Fix. So those are great, easy, like batch meal prepping. And then if you still feel like you're struggling, always reach out and work with a practitioner or provider so that you do get that one-on-one bio-individual care.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
ladies.
so
much. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And you have a
Honored.
podcast too, right? Yeah.
Yes, the Fiercely Holistic Podcast with my co-host Sierra Shea. And we have had some discussions about prenatal health, postpartum health, pregnancy, doulas, midwives. So
yeah, it's an awesome podcast.
Yeah,
so
thank
definitely check it
you.
out.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And we'll link all your info in the show notes too.
Thank
So
you.
yeah,
Awesome. I'm so happy we got to do this, and
yeah.
thank you again for helping bring my kids into the world.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Kristen.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and watching, and we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. That's it for this topic. Thanks for tuning in. Check out the show notes for any resources or links that we mentioned today. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on your preferred podcast platform, and also be sure to give us a review.
It really helps us grow and reach more people who could benefit from this info. Also, check us out on YouTube and visit our blog where we have this podcast transcribed for you.
We'd love to connect over social media too, and we're just an email away if you have any questions or if you want to request a topic to be covered.
We hope this helps your mind, body, and soul in having the supported and holistic journey you are so deserving of. Embrace the power within you.